Hello and hello again. My name is Steve. I run fullstacksteve.com, and today we're doing our coding challenge, ranking up in JavaScript. As always, my goal is not to complete these things in one line, but instead is to make something obviously that works, that is efficient and maintainable. So let's see what we've got today. Last couple have been easy and even a little bit repetitive, so let's hope for something a little different today. Alright, rectangle into squares. The drawing below gives an idea of how to cut a true rectangle into squares. True rectangle meaning two different dimensions are different, so like this would not be a true rectangle. You translate this drawing into an algorithm. Be given two dimensions, positive integer length, and then positive integer width. They should always be in the same order. Turn an array or string. Just the following squares. Alright, so they're going to give us a rectangle, and we're going to split it up into squares. So that 3 is the biggest square, that 2 is the biggest one. So we need to see which one is bigger, width or height, and then the smaller of the two will be our first one, then we'll divide out from there. So, yeah, no, that'll be good. So again, I'm always torn if this is going to be a recursion or a simple for loop. We could feed the remaining length and width back into the square and rectangle until we don't have anything left to do, until it's just a square. Or we could do it in a for loop and do it within. Let's see what ends up happening. Well, it's not going to be a for loop because I don't know how many. So it would be a while or recursion. Let's see. And they should all be numbers, right? I will always be given a positive integer. That's good. Return an array or a string. Depending on the language. Okay, so I'll return an array with the size of the squares. Interesting that 5, 5 returns back null. I would have thought that it would, anyway, I guess if it's a square, it would return null. That's easy. Width as a starting case would be an entirely different problem. We planned parameters. Okay. All right, and that's fine. All right, cool. So we're going to be returning squares. So this 5, 3 is going to return the 3, which leaves a 2 by 3 left, so then 2, which leaves a 2 by 1 left, so 1, which leaves a 1 by 1 left, which leaves 1. And then same thing with the 3, 5, it ends up doing that. So let's start going. So first off, if so edge case right there off of test number 1. Hooray, we passed test number 1. Woohoo! Celebrate accomplishments, right? Let's see. We could do while doesn't equal width. Alright, so let's do this. Const. Alright. It's been a long time since I did a while loop in JavaScript, right? I mean, goodness. Oh, and then we're going to return all squares. Okay. Alright, so whichever one is shorter. Alright, so if length is less, I think I'm going to end up changing this logic eventually, but let's go forward with it and see what happens, because eventually I'll have like a 1 by 1 and that will be it. Alright? So maybe it'll just be a do loop. That'll be interesting. And break out of it. But let's see what happens. All right, so here's the first easy one, right? All right. Let's actually do this. So I think we're going to use this a few times. So I have to identify the biggest side, right? Oh, actually, I want the smallest side. And then all right, so I'm trying to figure out how to manipulate the length and width to change them dynamically and just, mutate the values, just change them. They're strings. That's simple. Alright, so if my code's there, I can't add a third parameter, which means I can't add a done, so I don't necessarily want to make that exactly recursive, but think about generating const. I'm just trying to break this down in my head into pictures, try to visualize what it is that we're looking at. So if the initial values equal each other, we're going to return no. That's simple. I'm going to, let's get rid of that. Squares. Alright. Cost. Okay. So we're going to have this function. It's going to take in the length and the width. When the values actually equal each other, which will be last, because it would be a 1 by 1 or maybe a 2 by 2, whatever, right? It'll push that value last, and it will escape. If they're not equal, then we're going to do some logic here, and then eventually return back the return back in and do it all over again, and then we'll set that assignment to when that's actually done. We can probably just return that, right? But I don't want any timing issues to get in there. So obviously we don't want some logic there. We want to find the smaller dimension. We want to push and then do that. So I think I can do this in one spot, right? Easy to push. Actually, no, I do want to define it because I'm going to use it in both. So okay. Actually, let's do this here. I really want to assign it so that I know. I want to keep track of which one is actually the smaller size, not just what the smaller size is. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to do that. Oops, it's not VS Code. Oops, that's not my arrow key. Goodness. All right, so I'm going to create an array or an object that only has one thing in it, either an L or a W, and then the value for L or W, right? So it'll be length, the value of whatever the length is, or width, whatever the value of width is. It'll be an object with only one key. And so I can do object.values for whatever this is at the 0, because there will only be one key value, and it will push in just the value of that, and that's fine. If VS Code. Alright, so if the smaller side is the length, then I want the width equals to the width minus length. Else L equals L minus W. I've got some extra spaces in here, don't I? Alright, so this is much more convoluted than I am comfortable with. But let's see. So I'm finding the smaller side and creating an object with it, right? And then I'm taking my accumulator and pushing the value of the smaller side in it. And then if the smaller side has a key of L, then the smaller side is the smaller side, and the bigger side needs to get smaller by that amount. Otherwise, the reverse is true, and then we need to run this again until they're equal, and then we push that last value, and that'll be there. That seems really convoluted, and there are going to be solutions that are much more efficient than mine. I think I need to let this actually go before I return it, so I don't... Well, let's see if it actually works first. 2 units. It's W. Oh, that was awesome. Syntax errors, they're fun. Alright. Instead got undefined because it's not there yet. So let's just add squares. Did spell it right? I did spell that correctly. Alright, so let's see if I actually did that, otherwise turn. So the other issue is that I have a timing issue. Everything is actually going that's cheating, but I'm curious if it's a timing issue. Pending, yeah, I know. So it is. I'm having a timing issue. Let's see here. I could do it set timeout, which is again cheating and not the idea. But let's see. I mean, it's a simple loop through, right? I think the logic is right. I'm just having just tiny errors. I've said that a few times. Not gotten anywhere. So let's see what I can do to fix this. Do a reduce, but that has to do with an array. That's no good. I'm just trying to think of ways to reduce this problem down. And it took 1.1 second. And it's getting promise, which is obviously not what we want. Why would that return promise anyway? Because you're not going to actually do this return on this till this promise is actually resolved, right? Async await, await, put your pause on it. Means the promise is not actually pending anymore. Doesn't generate that until everything is actually finished. Unless I'm just dumb and didn't actually push anything on my escape sequence. Alright, come on. I think I'm closer. Pending. But I was getting undefined before. And that's just because the function completed, but it wasn't returning anything. So if I do this, just comment out that. And it won't have the time initial, just return when it's actually finished. And now that it's actually returning the array value, nope, I'm still undefined. I shouldn't be undefined. So let's go through this, right? 5 and 3. 5 does not equal 3. That squares 5, 3. So this would be 5, 3 in an empty array. 5 does not equal 3. So smaller side equals 5 is less than 3. No. So I will have an array of W5. And then my accumulator will push object values smaller side, which will push 5. Smaller side L, that's going to be undefined. So 5 equals 5 minus 3, so L will be 2. It would be 3, so 2, 3, and an object with 3 in it. Okay, let's see. Oops, that was gone, wasn't it? Alright, so let's log a couple things, see if we can troubleshoot. Alright. 5, 3, empty array. That's what I expect. Smaller side is W3, which is what I expect. Larger 2, which is what I expect. And then it goes through again. Smaller side is L of 2, which is what I expect. that's happening exactly as I expect. Okay. Alright, so let's see what this logs out here. So everything so far is happening is like I'm getting my array of 3, 2, 1, right? Final stretch, ACC of 3, 2, 1, 1. The result of add squares, that's going to really bug me. The result of add squares is what I expect it to be. And I'm returning that value. So the logic is fine. It is. It's. I know it's timing. Anyway, it's good to know the logic is fine. Let's see. Test number 2, 3, 2, 1, 1. It's outputting exactly what it's expected to. 14, 6, 6, 2, 2, 2, which is exactly what it's supposed to be. All right. So the logic is fine. Maybe I'm just really dumb here. When it's finished. Yeah, see, so I didn't think I put that in the wrong spot. Yeah, see, it's getting promises. That's not at all what I want. Alright, so I mean, we could do a this is taking a few. That's, oh my gosh. I am tilted, I think. Yeah, I'm tilted. Because I know that's right. Well, I haven't had to do this before. So I have surprise, surprise, I'm not the first person who's bumped into this issue. Stack Overflow is the first result. Oh, this is very surprising. You don't return anything. Yeah, no, that was my first problem. Is that an issue? Look at that. Yeah. I wasn't returning the recursive function. I didn't. Oops. Goodness. Yeah, I wasn't returning the add squares. I didn't think I needed to because add squares would come in and just run again and only would return that. But in order for the recursiveness to end up going through, I had to return that value before it actually went around. And then this is returning the loop. This is actually returning the final value. Huh. Neat. And then I'm curious about this. If I even need to set it. Let's see what happens. This is more my curiosity. Yeah, I'm going to say that's wrong by the fact that it's not done yet. Alright, well, let's... Oh, it still only did it in a little over 1 second, so the efficiency is not any different. That was a very long 1 second. But, I mean... Oh, obviously I don't need those squares. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Alright, so there we go. So, here's your exercise today. Sometimes all of your logic is right, you just missed a keyword. Frustration happens, fight through it, Google is your friend. Generally my last resort friend, especially in a coding challenge, but and it is what it is, right? So, and passed all the tests, of course. So, yeah, so this video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I should put a timer on so I can just cut out the time that I'm thinking and not speaking out loud. Maybe that'll be something for future iterations. Let's iterate and be agile even with my morning warm-up, right? So, note to self, recursive functions have to return their value when you loop back in. I didn't know that. Hope you learned something. Hope this was fun. Let's see what other people end up doing. Like I said, this is, I'm sure other people are going to have more efficient code and fewer lines. So I really want to see what it is that they do. And eventually, I will submit. Seriously, guys, loading spinner. There we go. Alright, so what have you done here? If length leaves width, return null, did that. You declared an array first. While length, so you did both of them greater than 0. Array.push length greater than width. Width otherwise length. Length is okay, so you did that. Length less than width. You will change that. Okay, so this will be the equals to, which is fine also. And then you return the thing. So yeah, so that's a much better solution, I think. Thought about doing a math min and max. I didn't remember the exact syntax. Because I haven't done math.min since school. So that would have been a good one. Yeah, so like I said, far more efficient versions than I ended up doing. But they created a while loop, and I learned something about recursion I didn't know before, so that's good. I started with the while loop, you remember, before I went into that function. So, yeah, I suppose mine wouldn't have lasted very long in a code review, but a lot of people doing basically the same thing, and the logic's the same. I was very satisfied with that. That was a good problem. I went about it a little bit the wrong way. That's fine. Lost a few minutes of a day to get that done. So anyway, like I said, hope it was fun. Hope you learned something. I did. I'm hesitant to put this up because this is not my most impressive video, but sometimes not every function you write is your most impressive function. So this is what life looks like, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.